Dear Santa, I don't know if you're real or not, but I'm begging you to bring me a doll for Christmas. If you don't bring me a doll, I will have to ask the devil for it. That was a lot. So, there was a lady named Anna, and this happened to her when she was 8 years old back in the 80s. She says that at the time she lived in Mexico with her mom, dad, and her grandmother. At the time, they didn't have a lot of money and they lived in a very poor neighborhood. Sometimes they didn't even have enough money for the most basic things that they needed at home. She remembers that it was around the holiday season and she would see a lot of kids out in the street, playing with their new toys and things that are being gifted to them. Even at the age of 8 years old, she knew that she wasn't gonna get anything for Christmas. She knew that her family didn't have enough money to buy gifts. But even with no hope in the world, she still wrote her letter to Santa Claus on the 24th of December. Dear Santa, I don't know if you're real or not, but I'm begging you to bring me a doll for Christmas. If you don't bring me that doll, I will have to ask the devil for it. She says that in her innocence, she thought that by threatening Santa Claus, it would motivate him to bring her the doll that she really wanted. She said that that night they had a family dinner, they ate, and they went to bed. But right before she went to her bedroom, she said that she looked at that Christmas tree and she just begged it to have a gift when she woke up in the morning. The next morning when she woke up, the first thing she did was run to that Christmas tree and she stood there in shock. She couldn't believe it, and in that very moment she screamed so loud that her grandmother and her parents came running into the living room thinking something had happened. But her scream was of happiness because under the Christmas tree there was a box, and inside that box was a doll. The doll was just as big as her, and it was the most beautiful doll she had ever seen, and she just remembers how her parents and grandmother were looking at her and they were just so happy because she got a doll for Christmas. She said that day was one of the happiest days of her life, but it was only because she didn't know the hell that they were about to go through. As time went on, she started to notice really weird, strange things about the doll. At nighttime, she would always place the doll in the box that it came in because she didn't want it to get dirty. However, every time she would wake up, the doll would be sitting in a chair at the end of her bed. I already have chills. She says that one day her entire family went out and they were coming back home. And when the door opened, every single person saw when the doll ran from the living room all the way to her bedroom. Oh my god, I have goosebumps. Can you imagine? Like every single one of her grandma, her mom, her dad, they all saw the doll run to her room. In that moment, out of pure terror, her mom fainted and fell to the ground. And her grandmother just started praying. She was also terrified of what she had just seen. In that moment, they can hear where things were falling and breaking inside her bedroom. The dad, with all the courage he had, decided to go in there and check it out. What the dad saw when he walked into her bedroom was the doll sitting in that same chair and everything in her room just destroyed. That same night, the grandmother confessed to her parents that on December 24th, she took all the money she had, which was only 30 pesos, and she was on a mission to buy a gift for her granddaughter. She was having no luck finding a store or anybody that can help her until she came upon just a whole bunch of trash. And in that trash was the doll. She couldn't believe that she found the most beautiful doll just in that trash, and she ran back home to put that doll under the Christmas tree. So the following day, her parents took the doll and they went to go throw it as far away as possible from their home. Unfortunately, the next day, that doll was inside of their house again. She mentions how the next following days, her parents tried a lot of different things to try to get rid of this doll, and it would always come back to their house. But that wasn't even the worst thing, because they started to experience paranormal things in their home. They would hear footsteps. Some things would just move by themselves, and they started to hear little kids laughing. The family became desperate and they brought a witch to the house to help them. When that witch saw the doll, she told them that she did not have enough power for what they have in their house. She could not help them. However, she did tell them that that doll was possessed by a demon. She says that her mom, in the desperation to get rid of this doll, ended up going to a church that was around their neighborhood. When she got to the church, she stumbled upon a priest who was lighting up candles or incense, I think that's what she said. And she ended up telling him everything that was happening in their home, and the priest agreed that he would visit their home at nighttime that same day. The priest, his name was Ezequiel Monteverde, and told her that she would go to their house at 8 p.m. And at 8 p.m. on the dot, he showed up to their home. The second that priest stepped into their home, it got so cold, it almost felt like a freezer inside of their home. The priest walks to her room, sees the doll, and tells her parents that it does not matter how many times you take the doll out, it was gonna end up coming right back. He said it was because the demon that was inside of that doll was very powerful. She said the craziest thing happened. The priest told her parents that the only way that they were gonna get rid of it was to form an exorcism on the doll in order to return the demon back to where it came from. It was the most intense thing that she had ever experienced in her life. She remembers the priest taking out the Bible, taking a cross out, and some holy water. But the priest took 2 hours in the room with the doll, and in the meantime the lights would flicker, things were moving on their own, and there was also a point where that doll was almost like convulsing by itself. What the fuck? She remembers when the priest finally tells it one last time, "I order you to leave this doll and leave this family alone." She remembers when he said that sentence, all the lights went out. However, there was an immense sense of peace in that home. The priest also kneeled down and started praying, and then just like nothing stood up, grabbed his Bible, holy water, the cross, and the doll, and left their home. She said that she remembers her mom running to their bedroom and getting like the littlest bit of savings that she had and attempted to give it to the priest, but he was like, "No, I don't need your money, it's okay." So the next day, the mom was so happy that everything had been peaceful in their home that she had gone to the supermarket and brought a lot of fruit. She decided to make like a fruit cup, and she was gonna go and take it to the priest just as a thank you for what he did for their family. When she got to the church, she saw another priest at the door, and she asked him where she could find the priest Ezekiel so that she can give him the fruit. However, the priest was like, "Lady, is this a joke?" And she was like, "No, I would like to give him this fruit as a thank you." And that's when the priest told her, "Lady, priest Ezekiel has been dead for over 10 years.